Hello, hello, people. Join us as I sit down today with special guest Duncan, aka One to Escape on Twitter and Reddit, to discuss game concerns, increased media rhetoric, and everything Stadia. Trust me, this will be a good one.
I'm not sorry. Stay sick cause I follow my gut. They say I was pushing my luck. I'ma push me a matte all black truck. Oh, I'm not sorry.
What's up, people? What's up, people? What's up, people? It is your boy, MM2K, back again with a special guest. As I said in the bumper, in the teaser, whatever you want to call it, I have my good friend, Duncan, aka One to Escape. Duncan, how are you doing today, my friend?
I am doing awesome. What about you?
Oh, I'm excited. Hopefully everybody can hear the anticipation in my voice. I'm in the midst of a star, a Stadia star. It's Duncan is a great guy within the Stadia community. Before we get started though, everybody, can you do us a huge favor? Tweet this out. Let everyone know that we're live because I had some technical difficulties and I wanted to send this out a lot more than I was able to. Also, if make sure our audio levels are good. If we're too loud or something's happening, definitely let us know and we'll adjust what we need to do. So let's get started, Duncan, if that's okay with you. Before we get into the nitty gritty of like as we were joking behind the scenes, the news that wasn't news today. I want to introduce everybody to who you are. Because you are a big staple in the Stadia community. And I know you're very humble and you don't want to accept that crown, but you definitely are. You keep people like me grounded with all my rhetoric. And I want people to know who you are, what you've done for the community, and the things that you're involved in now. So first and foremost, welcome. And for those who may not follow you, Duncan, and your content, please explain what your activities are within the Stadia community.
I am the biggest stirrer of stuff in the Stadia community, you could say.
Definitely.
Just today, in the space of 1 minute, I have been called a Stadia fanboy and a Stadia hater.
Oh, yes.
And within 1 minute between that.
Literally within 60 seconds. Oh, right.
Literally between 60 seconds. So I just try and put things right down the middle and how I see it. Mm-hmm. Within the Stadia community at the moment, I write for Stadia Source. I put out articles every so often, every couple of days or whatnot. And the big thing which I'm doing at the moment is organizing a big event here for the 15th of February called Stadia
Super Saturday, right?
Stadia Super Saturday, where we're going to get streamers like yourself putting content out all during the day. So it is something to really look forward to. And this is a whole Stadia community coming together. Everybody is out from their silos and we're all coming together just to showcase how good Stadia is.
And I'm honored to be part of this event because, as we were joking before, my home network, PNTS network, and I love those guys. I love them with all my heart. Precursor to me throwing them under the bus here, but they are not the biggest Stadia enthusiasts. So it's great to be with a bunch of Stadia creators, even though Duncan, we don't exist, right? But it's great to be with a bunch of Stadia creators that for 24 hours we get to show the positive side to Stadia. Not to say there's not negative, because we're definitely going to get into that, right? But it's good to show what this thing can really do, right?
Absolutely. It's going to show what Stadia can do. I think there might be some negative bits and bobs in it as well, but overall it's going to showcase that this community is brilliant and there's so much positivity with Stadia. It's just going to be a real fun event, and it's going to showcase some of the things what only Stadia can do. Maybe the grid race may make a comeback. Yeah. Not 100% sure if that's 100% or not yet, but there is talk that the 40-car race will come back, and that is only available on Stadia. So there will be plenty for people to look forward to and get involved with.
That'll be awesome. Because I seen some of the preliminary scheduling, and I see that that is slated. So definitely. And again, we're about to get into it, guys. Do us a huge favor, please tweet this out, let everyone aware, because we hear a lot of Stadia things. Stadia's dead. It's DOA. You know, hide the kids, hide the wife. Stadia's the big baby still. All this crazy stuff, right? But you're going to hear today on this show. I guarantee you, you're going to hear the good, the bad, and the factual in regards to Stadia, right? So everyone needs to hear this. Whether you appreciate cloud gaming or not, everyone needs to hear this. Call your mother, your grandmother, your mailman, everybody. Get them here to this channel right now, because we got someone, again, that's a pillar of the community. He's not someone that he paints everything with rose colors. He's going to give it to you straight down the middle. But before we get into all that news, first, let's kind of introduce you and your gaming forte to the scene here. Let's peer a little bit into Duncan's gaming world. How long, Duncan, have you been gaming roughly?
I have been gaming roughly about 35 years.
Wow.
Yep. I'm 41, unfortunately.
Oh,
so
same age. All right. Yep.
My first experience was home console anyway, was the Commodore 64.
Oh, yes. A man of my own heart. Yes, absolutely. Ticket to Paris and Asagio Jimbo. Those are some of my favorite games.
And I can remember my first game on the Commodore 64, and that was Action Biker, which was advertising a packet of crisps, skips. And I can still remember the theme tune of it. So I've been gaming a long time now. I've had most consoles. I've had the NES, the SNES, the Mega Drive, the Master System, or the Genesis, as it's called in the States, N64, PlayStation, Xbox, you name it. I've probably had it at some time. I love my gaming. Gaming is what I do. I did have a lull of gaming during the PlayStation 2 stroke Xbox era, where I wasn't doing as much because of children coming along. Children came along, and your gaming time goes down. Now it's way back up again.
Yeah, sounds similar to me, Duncan. I had a stint where I stayed out due to work. I was doing like little mini programming and stuff like that, and I was doing like 14-hour days, and I just didn't game until like midway through the original Xbox era. So I can definitely relate. What is your favorite game? If I could ask you that, what is your favorite game of all time?
It depends on what day you ask me. I don't have one which, oh my God, this is the best game ever, I have to play this. Yeah. I love Bioshock, I love Final Fantasy VII. Who doesn't like them sort of games? Football Manager was a big part of my life for a while. What else? There's just so many games I've played throughout the years, and if you ask me tomorrow, it could be a different game. But if you just today, it's maybe because of some of the news which came out, but Bioshock is one of my all-time favorite games, and
you are my long lost brother. I'm upset with my mother because she didn't tell me. Yes. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off, but everything that you're saying is like a mirror image of what my tastes are. I love the original Bioshock. What did you think about Infinite? Not to go too far into the weeds, but what did you think about Infinite?
I loved it.
You loved it?
I think it was, maybe you didn't like it. I loved it. Bar all the dust, eating the things out from the trash cans.
Yeah.
I loved it. Ending was a bit, but overall, I loved it. Believe it or not, my favorite Bioshock out from the flame is Bioshock 2. It's I think it just improved in Bioshock 1.
Oh my goodness. This seems like there's a thing called USA Search, Duncan, where people find their long lost relatives. I think I found my long lost relative here on YouTube. Yes, my favorite is, but believe it or not, even though I know that Bioshock 1 had broader appeal, and it was great because it was introducing you to that world, I love the strategic sense of 2. I think the balance was a little bit off because it was too hard at first and then too easy at the end. But that middle point, if it was like that the whole game, easily the best for anybody. But particularly for me, it's my favorite BioShock.
Yeah, BioShock 2 for me just improves on the first one. It's when you actually go back and play them again, it just reaffirms it. I just think BioShock 2, even it was just so similar, and that's what dragged it down in some people's eyes. But for me, BioShock 2 is the best BioShock.
Totally agree. Now, maybe this is an easier question. What's your favorite system?
Very easy, and not a lot of people would have played it. My favorite system was OnLive.
Was on live? Oh, okay, cool. Okay, so you have an itch. You've had an itch way back when for the for online services. Were you like one of the original beta testers? I beta tested it early on. Were you able to get a hold of it then?
No, I just came to it when I came to the UK.
I got you. Okay, cool.
A proper launch over here, and OnLive, hands down, my favorite platform. It was so far in advance of anything what was going on at the time. A lot of the things Stadia is wanting to do and hasn't implemented yet, OnLive already did it. So it's just absolutely nuts. Just like one of the things which Stadia will be able to do eventually, the crowd play where people can jump in and jump out of games. Yeah. OnLive had that built into the system where you just went around, you seen your friend playing, you could actually just hover over to your friend and go, oh, I'm watching the friend here. It was like Twitch before Twitch. And
interesting.
Oh, sorry.
No, I was just saying, I was thinking to myself, interesting, because I don't remember particularly trying that feature out, but all I did was play Borderlands by myself on when I was testing it and stuff. So
I was part of what was called the Cloud Council for OnLive, where you got to beta test some features. And
interesting.
And do you know the feature in Ghost Recon, which Stadia is doing, where you can watch people's screen and screen?
Yep.
That OnLive had that for Borderlands.
See, that's interesting. I'm going to make a footnote of that because when we talk a little bit more about when we go to what Stadia needs to do, I'm curious on why, and we can get to that later. I'm curious on why, if they were doing that back in, when was that, Duncan? 2008, right?
Yeah, it's a good 10 years ago now.
Yeah, good 2000, or around that time. If they're doing it now, how come we can't get that at release? But we'll definitely touch on that. All right, so that kind of answers my next question. I guess OnLive was kind of your precursor into Stadia, right? If that wasn't the only thing, what else led you to Stadia?
It was OnLive, 100% got me into Stadia. It's just cloud gaming has been around for a long time now, and everybody just writes it off, and it's been working 10 years ago. We've just been waiting for the internet to catch up in the rest of the world, so it becomes viable.
Gotcha.
So OnLive for me, I could talk about that all day. It was such my favorite platform. It introduced me to new games I've never played before. One thing about OnLive was, do you know the Game Pass for Xbox?
Yeah.
They had that 10 years ago.
Yep, absolutely. Yep.
And I started playing games on that because they were there. Made me discover new genres of games I never played. I wasn't really a big hack and slash, whatever way you want to call Darksiders, and I beat Darksiders on OnLive, and that is now one of my favorite types of games to play.
Can I ask you a question if you remember this, Duncan? How many games did OnLive release with?
OnLive released with, I
think it was like 30 games.
When it launched in the UK, I only remember in the UK.
Okay,
I think it was it was over 100 in the UK because it had they had that bundle where you could subscribe like the Game Pass.
Yes. It was a little bit more expensive than Game Pass, right? Wasn't it like around 30? I could be way off here. How much was it?
I think it was about, for me in pounds, this is about £15 a month. I think it was in a...
Okay.
And the games were console price games, where they were £40-50 to buy them when they actually came. I don't want to worry people here, but there's a lot of parallels between OnLive and Stadia, which ain't good with the game situation, which we're going to touch on later, where there's a lack of games coming over and the big developers are not coming. But I think we're going to touch on that later.
Let me go to the chat real quick. So we got a lively chat here. Again, do us a huge favor, tweet this out. Big up to Zero Games for me. It says, hi guys. Ashes to ashes. I hear the excitement. Yes, I'm within the star. No, it's beyond the star. I found my long lost brother, so I'm very excited now. We got who else? We got Fisher Cat. He says, I hear about kids. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, kids can be. I shouldn't say that. They can be the gift and the curse. Maybe maybe it was a gift to have kids. You know what I mean? But
they are a blessing and a curse.
Yes,
they gave you so much joy and so much frustration.
Say all the right things, Duncan. Go ahead and say them. You know. Zero Games for me also says, I'm still blown away with how good Stadia looks and performs. And that's one of the things me and Duncan talked behind the scenes before we started today's show. Is that was one of my premier focuses, is that I know I present more of a rosier side to Stadia, where Duncan is more focused, and you get a little mix of both, which is great and fantastic. I do that because there's so many lies out here about Stadia that I got the fly swatter out there. But it's not all peaches and cream, and we're gonna get into that. We also got Fisher Cat. He says, totally cramped my gaming style for a while, talking in reference to kids. And big ups to a big time supporter on my platforms, Cold Blood Sensei. He says, yo, Mos, hey, I appreciate you, Cold Blood, as always. Again, if you do us a huge favor, tweet this out. And if you want to leave us a message for me and Duncan to answer live on air, you can do so via the free messaging app, via loots.com. My Nightbot is doing a good job, isn't acting up, and is leaving a link to the Loots chat. All right. So with that being said, let's continue on. All right, let's get to the nitty gritty, Duncan. Let's stop playing nice about Stadia. Let's get to the meat and potatoes. All right.
You like playing nice about Stadia?
Yeah. I know. Even though you're a Stadia hater and a fanboy, within the same 60 seconds, let's pull out that Stadia hate. No. But let's be honest about the system here. What do you think that Stadia seriously got wrong with the rollout?
One word: launch.
Yeah.
They came at it saying, "This is Stadia. This is Stadia's launch.
Yep.
Not early access, not beta, launch." That has caused basically every single one of their issues here. It's set up the expectation that this is the big thing, and they haven't recovered since. Just perfect comparison is xCloud. Is xCloud a launch or is it a beta?
Exactly.
They market it everywhere. It is a beta, and that means they can get away with it not being as good, not being a bit more choppy and whatnot. Stadia is a launch, so it has to be perfect, and that is their number one mistake they have made from the get-go, and they're still chasing their tails from it.
Absolutely. Wholeheartedly agree. Now, even though we know definitely what's wrong with the launch, and a lot of other stuff too, we're going to get into. Let's just put out on the table too, as well, to be a little fair at first. What are you pleased with though, despite all those misgivings with the launch? What are you pleased with?
It works as expected, more or less as expected. Again, it's back to the communication is just woeful from Stadia.
Yep.
Absolutely woeful. But if they just said this is going to launch and it's going to be console-like graphics, it is absolutely brilliant that way. Destiny 2, can you go back to the Xbox or PlayStation version after playing it on Stadia? There's no, you can't.
Yeah.
It just feels completely different. One thing which a lot of people would notice if they played Stadia is the SSDs. Everything loads up so quick.
Oh, yes.
If you play Assassin's Creed Destiny or Assassin's Creed, you're using the fast travel system on the Xbox or PlayStation. You're there, you can go down for a cup of tea, come back, and it's just about to load up again. Stadia is about 10, 15 seconds, and you're loaded up again. And that's the same with Destiny. You used to have these wee breaks when everything's loading up. You could check your phone on Twitter a bit. Now you can't. You're just straight into the game.
Yeah.
It is so good that way. You buy a game, you don't have to worry about downloading it. You no longer have to worry about patches. It's the perfect dad box.
Yeah.
You don't have to worry.
I totally agree.
And there's so much potential.
I totally agree. Yeah, and the potential is the right word to mark everything. I totally agree. Like, and that's what I did. I did an analysis, right? Mainly, I was inspired by a lot of my friends in the console war business, right? They were, a lot of them are Xbox people, and we'll talk a little bit more about Xbox later too. And they were like, yeah, Stadia doesn't work. There's so much lag. And they show that meme, Duncan, where the guy's like hitting the keyboard and nothing's happening. And I'm like, no, it's whatever his network interference is or whatever, and they're like, no. So it prompted me to do that. And when you see when you see Destiny on Stadia and then you try to go back to just consoles in general, it just doesn't feel right because 60 frames and that smoothness is how Destiny was meant to be played in my mind.
Absolutely. You just cannot go back. Again, we're going to keep touching this later. I've had to go back into my Xbox and the PlayStation, and I don't want to.
Absolutely.
The games aren't there for me to play. I play Destiny, but I'm not a hardcore Destiny player who has to go and buy or get all the exotics and get all the quests. I just go into Destiny because I want to shoot things and pick things up. It's a chill out game for me. It's not my big game. I've had to go back to my Xbox, even though I haven't really wanted to. Game Pass is such an appealing option. You just get the games and you can just sit and you've got your choices. But then you get hit with, I have to download this game. Oh, there's a patch as well.
Yep.
So it takes you an hour or two just to get into that. And I've got a reasonably fast internet connection. It's still annoying that you just can't pick up and play.
Oh yeah. And especially someone with your background too, that's really delved into on live, you know what I mean, and stuff like to like when we play games like and not to go too far into the weeds, Duncan, but I know that you are also real busy on Shadow's cloud service, correct?
Yep, I had the chance to try their new service.
Mm-hmm.
New tiers. Oh my god.
Yeah.
I did a bit of testing off it. I was playing Stadia through Shadow, so as I said, it's something else.
Yeah.
A bit of Inception, and it was still working perfectly.
Wow, that's insane. So with all those bottleneck possibilities, it's still insane.
Yeah, me and my fiance, we were playing Darksiders together. We've got a wee thing on my YouTube channel. My YouTube channel is just for runts and stuff and a bit of playing. We actually when we were playing that Darksiders in co-op split screen, that was through Shadow.
Okay. Yeah, because I saw you guys were streaming. That is awesome. So with all these endless possibilities that you announced, all the potential, all the untapped potential here, you know what I mean? And we even talked in the precursor, which now got me a little riled up a little bit inside. I'm gonna be honest with you, Duncan, because I'm thinking if on live lost 100 games, like why are we where we're at now? But that's okay. I don't want to be all negative. With that being said, I
would actually defend Stadia here. The reason why OnLive had more games, OnLive was built on a PC.
Gotcha.
It was running that. It was running PC architecture. I can't say architecture. So it was just like running it on Shadow.
Okay.
But slightly more modified. But we're not talking major thing. It'd be like with the Steam big picture mode.
Okay. I got you. Okay. So you
obviously it'd be a bit more technical than that, but I think that's the easiest way to sort of describe it.
I got you. Got you. Okay, makes sense. All right, let me calm down, MM2K. Don't be too harsh. Okay, I got you now. So with all this untapped potential, okay, if you had and with but foreshadowed with a lot of the bad messaging and some other things, if you, Duncan, had a seat at the executive board, what would you like to see done with Stadia over the next 12 months?
How long have you got here?
As long as you got, buddy.
Okay, first things first. I would take the big elephant of the room off the table. Everybody who is playing Stadia right now, you're on pro subscription until the base launches. Okay. Bang, done, dusted. Take the hit and the cost, because come this time next month, this is what everybody's going to be talking about: is how many people did stay with pro and how many people dropped pro.
Exactly. Yeah.
Take that question off the table now. Everybody's got pro until base launches, because it doesn't look like it's coming anywhere soon. I thought it was going to maybe come next month, maybe the month after, but they need to be talking about it now. This is one of Chase's Stadia talks. Big point says they really need to get talking, and I think it's not coming now, but that's besides the issue. The next thing I would do, I would hire some more community managers.
Yeah.
And if you have a look here, I'm not talking about games at the moment. This is all about communication and just controlling the message, because this is what Stadia needs to be doing now. Games, I'm sorry, I don't think games are important, but you can chuck as many games on at the moment, but the message is just going to get lost. You just need to start controlling the message. Going back to the community managers here, I would hire a couple. I want a UK or Europe, Stadia Europe, whatever way you want to call it, account, because Stadia are too Pacific. It's a bit PST specific time zone. If everything comes out there, for us over here in the UK, the day's over. The time you get messages out, they need someone in the UK even just to put out stupid wee messages now and again, like what they normally put out once a day. This is coming to Stadia. Don't forget. I think today's one was the Tomb Raider. Remember to put Tomb Raider into your collection. Do stuff like that. Get a UK version, just a UK version, so it's coming out for us at normal sort of times. The next thing I would do is still in the community. As you may be aware, I put out the unofficial Stadia community update. The first one of them I did was a complete and utter p-take, we will say. And I'm not sure if I'm, so I just said p. But this is the sort of thing that they should be doing. The ones I've been doing the last number of weeks is that could all be done by Stadia, like Xbox Wire. If you look at what Xbox Wire puts out, they just give updates in the games, even if it's just DLC. And over the last couple of weeks, we have had so much coming out, which they could have put out in a wee update, and that solves a lot of the issues about Stadia's not communicating and all this. There's just so much little things they can do just to improve things, and it's not even going to cost them a lot of time or money just to get things going and changing the mood music. The next thing then is I would get some sort of game schedule going, even if it's saying we're expecting Gods and Monsters, Avengers this time next, or was it September time, October time. This is what we're expecting. Just get a rough timetable of event or what games are coming. It's just simple things. Have you forgot? I'm just going to ask you a question here.
Yes.
Do you know we've got a game coming out next week?
No, I didn't even know.
We have a game. I know it's not going to be most people's cup of tea. It's a Supercross game. We can't even pre-order the game. There's no advertisement from Stadia saying we've got Supercross coming out. It's just need to get even. No. You don't have to even be able to buy it. Just have a thing. This is coming out next week.
Yeah.
It's just simple things.
That's, you know what? That's it. It just, what you said just resonated with me mentally. Like, in the midst of all this, even though I've been vocal out there on Twitter, you know me, and we've talked about
Yeah.
this, because some of the stuff I've been saying we agree, some we may not, and that's fine. But
Yeah.
I'm out here being vocal. I'm quote unquote fighting a good fight. People are asking for games and specifics, and I got it. You got a game coming out next week, but I don't find out from them. I find out from Duncan. You know what I'm saying? It's like, it's crazy. Before you finish, let me just go to because this supplements what you're saying and get your thoughts on this too. Go to the chat.
Yeah.
Now, Cold Blood Sensei, he is a big time supporter of my stuff, right? And he's very vocal on his non-belief of cloud gaming. But he's here and he has an open mind. You know, like he doesn't feel that it has the potential like me and you feel, but he has an open mind because he's listening to the content. He's trying to see how everything pans out. Cold Blood's comment is, hold on, he has two up here. First one is, Stadia needs more games, and Pro Sub should get you all the games without paying for the game afterwards. It's asinine how they do things now. What do you think about that? That Pro should get you access for $10 a month. You get access to everything that's in Stadia's catalog, and that's the way it should be. What do you think?
For £10 a month, I want access to everything in Xbox's catalog.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
See, that's what my point back is. You can't expect to put everything on their catalog on offer. Game Pass-like system is coming. It's just a matter of when it is coming.
It had to be built. The Game Pass, Rome wasn't built in a day, right? Remember when Game Pass first came out, it was nowhere near as celebrated when it released. What is this trend? You couldn't give away. I remember shows were trying to give away Game Pass subscriptions and nobody wanted them. It was a waste of time scratching the what's it called off to put it into your system. Now it's something that's like, oh, this is the best deal in gaming. So we got to keep in mind that with the things that we say that need to be fixed, we got to understand this is a brand new platform. They've been out for what, 70 days? Like, there are some issues and we're going to cover them, but let's not go too heavy handed. Let's not go all the way, to the right or to the left. Like, it's going to take some time. And like you said, Duncan, I totally agree. A Game Pass system is on its way, but I apologize. I didn't mean to interrupt there, but I thought it was a good question from Cold Blood. Wanted to get your thoughts on it, but go ahead and continue. More executive board Duncan stuff. What would you do? Go ahead.
That was. I would just go back to this here. What I do see happening is they entice people like them is base launches. Where here's the pro games for the month, and they're going to be absolute banging games just to get people to try the system. Are you going to try the system if, say, Borderlands 3 and Ghost Recon Breakpoint with the special Stadia only features for £10 a month? Are you going to give that a go? I would give that a go for £10 a month just to see if it'll work on your system. That is how they're going to entice people in the short term. Yep. Is they're going to put banging games on the Pro.
Absolutely.
I think we're just having a double check of the script here.
Oh, okay.
Because you've done an
okay. No, we're good.
Have we mentioned? Are we going?
No, go ahead. I'm sorry. What were you going to ask?
Are we going to be talking E3? I had some.
Yeah. You know what? No, bring up E3 because I'm glad. See, this is my long lost brother. I spotted an E3 article right before we went live. I didn't have time to talk to you about it and add it into the bullet points of things that we wanted to cover. But definitely, you're thinking the same way I was. Go ahead and shoot.
Okay, I think this is where we're going to be slightly different, but at the end of it, I think we're going to be together. I do not want Stadia at E3 on the floor, sure.
Okay.
The reason being, and they have came out and said this themselves, Stadia is not really suitable for being there. The internet's not good enough, and it's going to show off any issues. However, where I think me and you are 100% together is I think they should release a E3 Game Pass where you get to demo the games in your comfort of your own home. Because if they were going to demo them at the floor shore, or I can't speak.
At the show
if you're going to demo at the shore, they'll be available for people to try in the comfort of their own home, so they could do it. Try E3 from the comfort of your own home. Here is Assassin's Creed. Here's FIFA. Here's Madden. Here's your demos, which you would have been trying at E3 anyway, but you could do them right here in your house, not having to move.
Absolutely.
And that not only would that appeal to Stadia people from the get-go, that would draw in so many of the gaming populace as a whole.
Yep.
Just to try. If you could try the new Assassin's Creed for £10, $10, $15 for a 2-week period, yeah, it would tempt people just to give it a try.
Absolutely.
So that I would have a massive Stadia Connect and just try and blow them out from the water with things coming.
I totally agree. But it's the angst over presentation. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
I was going to say there. I think I might be talking for you here, but I think think there should be a show. They should have it at E3 themselves.
No, you know what? No, you're my long lost brother. I know I keep saying that, but the more and more that we agree, I thought there would be a little bit more split in how we see things. But no, the more and more you go into detail, the more and more we agree. I think you're referencing to one of my more recent videos where I said, hey, it'd be great. In lieu of some of the good news and me dropping that video and me going, aha, look, Stadia performs better, that they should go to E3. I think E3 is right now with Sony not being there. I think you don't come to, and people, that's angered people. You don't show up at E3 unless you're ready to go. And like you alluded to, Duncan, you got to share bandwidth. Remember when they did the last presentation and a person was flipping from device to device to device? We know, me and you know, that you can actually do that. But remember when they were doing it there, everyone was analyzing and saying, oh, look at the lag and all of this stuff. Because you're sharing all that bandwidth in a network situation that really isn't common at all, you don't go there unless you got all your ducks in a row. And if you're going to be there, you better show off something massive. So I'm in the mind state of you that I really don't think they should be there unless something comes down the pike that's like, oh my God, this is going to change everything. You know what I mean? So those are just my thoughts.
Yeah, and it's just asking for problems if something goes wrong.
You don't need
it's not like with that. Sorry.
No, go ahead.
It's not like Xbox or PlayStation where they've got the dedicated hardware / PCs to have it for Stadia. It's going to be getting pumped in. So they can't afford to have any sort of slip-ups, or it'll just give more ammunition to the haters out there.
Yeah.
So, E3 at home.
Yeah.
Done, dusted.
That would be, that would be great. Yeah, like you said, perfect.
I think it was actually it was you who came up with that, or one of your.
It was Bill and Lloyd, and Bill and Lloyd, they are part of Stadia Cast. Excellent show, comes on every Sunday. 10 a.m. I am there. Make sure you watch it. I was watching them and they were talking about activity in their Discord and activity on the internet and how that was brought up that, hey, why don't they do what they do at like BlizzCon is like sell you packages to demos. And to your point, do it around E3 time, but do it via a Connect. What are your thoughts on that?
Yep. Phil, I give all the props in the world to whoever came up with that. Bill and Lloyd's community over in Stadia Cast, absolutely fair provided. I heard it on when you were talking about it, so that's why I picked it up. So sorry if I got that wrong. I don't want
to take credit from Bill and Lloyd.
Big Connect and get the rights to whatever games they've got, and let's hope they're big games. With the what else I would do, I would be promoting this YouTube thing they've got going here.
Oh yeah,
getting all these YouTubers on board, getting the esports rights, get the channel memberships free with premium, YouTube Premium. These are all things which aren't actually related to Stadia, but they're 100% related to Stadia. They're coming under the YouTube banner, but they're all moves for Stadia. I'll give you an example here, and this is just going to show you how this could blow up. Do you know the game Get Packed, which is coming to Stadia?
Yes, yep.
The 4-player game. You've got your 1 million subscribers now because you deserve it.
Yeah.
You're gonna play Get Packed. Hello, anybody in my community who wants to play Get Packed with me?
Yeah.
Cry play, click the button, and you're playing with me. This is going to be massive. And this is why getting these big name big name YouTube streamers on the YouTube is going to just blow this up, and people should be really, really excited that these moves are happening. I know it's not, I've used this phrase before, I know it's not sexy as getting all the games announcements here, but these are the fundamental things which are going to make Stadia blow up. And while everybody in the last week and a half, 2 weeks have been really negative, with all these announcements of YouTube, I'm going, Stadia, it's just a matter of when Stadia is going to hit it big now.
It's not what, it's when. Absolutely.
And I will actually talk about the bad side of the crowd play now and why it will take off. We know there's a lot of YouTubers and Twitch presenters and everybody, or Twitch, who has the latest Twitter, or if you remember the video which has been doing the rounds of the Twitch streamers saying, why haven't I got any subs the last?
Oh yeah. We got a lot of pinky in the air, red champagne, Twitch, yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
I'm one of these massive streamers, and I'm going to say this: next person who donates $10 plays with me through crowd play. Bang.
Yeah.
What we're going to see is a lot of the people move over to YouTube when they realize they can just click the button and everybody can just join in and play.
Gotcha.
This is going to be a bad thing, which they're going to really need to monitor going forward.
Yeah.
But the moves with the channels, you can subscribe to a channel. That's going to be a thing. I'm going to play with anybody who subscribes to my channel. I don't want to talk really negative about that of crowd play, because I think it's going to be a wonderful feature. But I'm just showing you the reasons why this is going to be my Stadia really kicks off.
Definitely keep an eye on that, because that's something we don't want. I mean, there's a lot of
we don't want that. But I'm just trying to show you that they're the bad way how Stadia will take off as well.
Oh yeah, because it's going to take off. It's not a matter of what or if, it's a matter of when, and therefore those are things that you want to have some foresight over. I just real quick, guys, I deeply apologize. I don't want you to think that someone's being killed in my background. I have people building houses to the right of me and to the left of me, and these are the most jolliest construction workers I've ever met in my life. So I hear some noise. I don't know if it's coming through the mic, but please do not send authorities to my house. Nobody's being attacked. But we got a couple of comments in the chat I want to go to before we go to the next segment. Stadia Talk says, and big ups to Stadia Talk, looking to do something with these guys real soon. It's going to be a great thing. And then also, Stadia Talk, are they slated to participate on Super Saturday too, Duncan?
Absolutely, they are. They've got a couple of slots there. They've got that's Chase, by the way. Okay. He's got his Saturday morning show he's going to do, and his podcast with Eddie.
Hey Chase, just so you're aware, we don't exist. Like, we're figments of our own imagination. So can you do me a favor? Because people say nobody plays Stadia. Can you do me a favor, Chase, and put your imaginary link to your YouTube channel here, so people can see your imaginary show. No, great show. I love it. Stadia Talk, definitely. And I'm more than honored that to have an opportunity to do something with Chase and actually have him here too in the future. So yeah, definitely. I made you a mod, Chase. Put your link to your channel below. But Chase says, let me see here. What else do we got here? Did I read his? I'm sitting there babbling. I didn't. A well-balanced approach. He says a well-balanced approach is good. we have to talk the good and the bad. Absolutely. We're going to get into the good. We're going to get into the good. So, with that being said, Chase, I bounce it back to Duncan. Duncan, overall,
Yes.
with the good and the bad that we just looked at a high level before we get into the deep, how would you best describe the Stadia community as a whole?
That's
That's a loaded question. I understand, my friend, but how would you do so?
okay. It depends where you're talking to them. That would be a nice way of putting it.
Absolutely.
Reddit, I think, is it depends on the mood of the day.
Yeah,
What
okay.
everything's going on, but usually I find that's pretty positive.
Okay.
They give the good and the bad. There's some Discord channels. I've had some fun in one of them today.
Okay.
That's where I was called a Stadia hater because I was because I had concerns about the statement we're going to get to later. Twitter, I think Twitter is brilliant for this in the Stadia community itself. Outside of the Stadia community, you get a lot of haters and whatnot. That's where I was called a fanboy today. And the best community of all, I have found outside of the creator community, is that people actually playing on Stadia.
Yeah.
I've sat and had conversations with people I've never met before, playing games on Stadia, and they're all down to earth, really excited about Stadia, are amazed how well it works and how it's really changed gaming for them. I think that comes maybe due to the demographic of Stadia at the moment, where it seems to be. I'm not going to call myself an old man because that might call other people old men, but we're more family men who have grown up a bit, and their children have grown up a bit, and they've got a bit more free time in their hands for gaming. So I'm finding the community itself usually pretty mature and respectful and can see the positive and negatives of things.
No, to Cold Blood Sensei, yes, my friend. Cold Blood Sensei is cursing me out here in the chat. Yeah, the loots, the free messaging app is here, my friend. That link will direct you, even though it says MM2K. I have to get approval now to do one directly to Stadia Doses, so we're just using my account. So when you click on it, it does say MM2K, but it will appear here too, Cold Blood. So go ahead and chat away. And to that point, you guys, there's a lot of stuff going on. Me and Duncan got articles all over the screen. I only have half a good eye. So what you guys can do is, if you want us to stop midstream, we're willing to do that, but put it in the free messaging app. We'll stop what we're doing, and we'll answer your question right there on the spot. But sorry about that, Duncan. I just wanted to get that through. So, no, I think it's a good synopsis. But go ahead and continue. I'm sorry.
No, I was going to say, absolutely. This is your show. You're doing a brilliant job there. Yeah. I just seen something here. Yep. YouTube is Stadia's trump card. I 100% agree with that, and that is the reason why Microsoft bought Mixer.
Absolutely.
Why I'm not going to say PlayStation is dead. They're nowhere near dead, but they're in a rough spot because we've got Amazon narking. Everybody is rated off Google,
exactly.
But YouTube is there, and Microsoft has got Mixer. So it is going to be the streaming platforms is the gateway drug now to gaming.
Cold Blood Sensei said that it says I'm not streaming. Okay, hold on. Well, I'll take a look at that in a little bit. Sorry about that, Cold Blood. I'll figure that out. They're being a bunch of weirdos right now. That being said, okay, let's get into the nitty gritty. All right. First, let's talk about. Didn't update this here, so it says the wrong. I want to talk about Stadia's response to the hate. And then we're going to talk about the hate and what our perceptions are of them, because we have very interesting contrasting views on this stuff. And it's good to hash it out because it's a representation of all of the Stadia community, I feel, or a good portion of it. Don't want to leave anybody out. But Stadia, in response, well, let me back up a little bit. So our good friend Paul Tassi, and I'm not saying that to be facetious. I've urged that Paul Tassi come on the show so we could talk about some things factually, get his feel about Stadia, and then try to see where his head's at about the system altogether. But Paul Tassi, over the last few weeks, he has been solely negative on the system, from what I could see. And he said things like, Destiny 2 shows that Stadia is dead because people have abandoned, I don't want to say abandoned, but in large numbers they've cut their playing of Destiny 2. And he released another article not too long ago that spearheaded a lot of these other articles that was focused on a Reddit post where someone had said we didn't get any concrete news pretty much in the last 40 days. They did use the term radio silence, but I think they used it wrong inadvertently, but you get the context of what they were trying to say. And this is how I'm gathering it. We'll see what Duncan thinks about all this. But they said they want radio silent, which radio silent means you haven't said anything. So it wasn't purely factual, but the heart and the spirit of the Reddit post to me was, we ain't got nothing concrete from you, Google. Your communication sucks. You said 120 games. What are those 120 games? We want to know what the deal is now, right? And then people have been taking the radio silent thing and slapping it all over their headers. Radio silent for 40 days and no Stadia, and they've abandoned their customers, all this crazy stuff, right? So I said earlier in the week, Stadia, you got to address this or it's just open season on you. And I'm not saying they listen to me, but they took heed to what was common, and they did go out and they did address the fact that they weren't radio silent, but as Duncan and I have talked about it, there's more to that message than just addressing the radio silence. So I'm going to put it like this. I believe Stadia did a good thing in finally addressing the negative press via Game Industry Biz, at least attempting to do it. Here's what I think are the positives. They addressed the 40 days of radio silence, headlines and rhetoric, because it applied that Google hadn't said anything in 40 days. They use GameIndustry.biz, which, as far as I've alluded to in previous videos and stuff, they are the de facto entity to get a newswire out. So they are learning, I guess. But as far as the positives, that's it from your boy. Duncan, what do you think? Tell us the clear, defined negatives in your mind, in addition to highlighting anything that I've babbled about that you think may be a little off. Go ahead and shoot.
Do you want the positive message?
Whatever you feel, however you want to lead into this thing.
Do you want to start up the negative and
you can see
end at the positive?
Yeah, let's do that. Yep.
The negative message was this is a complete another shambles again. Mm-hmm. They have addressed the message by not addressing the message again. They have communicated by not communicating, which was the whole point of the outrage in the first instance.
So it was a denial, you're saying?
Exactly. And I'm just... their whole message was just reaffirming what they put out last week, or was it even 2 weeks ago, as everything's just blending about the 126 or 120 games are coming. Here's the thing. If you remember back to the original message, it was, I think it was worded over 120 games. Now it is just 120 games. Mm-hmm. So their message has changed again. I don't think they're throwing I'm going to put this right out here now. I do not think they're throwing the publishers under the bus. Mm-hmm. But it can be interpreted that they are throwing the publishers under the bus for not releasing games. The quote is, we leave it up to the publishers to make up the announcements about their IPs and games and which platforms they will appear on. if I was a complete another negative YouTuber, it would be Stadia is throwing the publishers under the bus again. And if you remember back a while ago with the 4K tobacco about games not being 4K 60 FPS, again, the way that was spun was that they were throwing it was the developer's fault for not optimizing for Stadia.
Yeah.
This statement is a shambles. I said earlier when I was getting called a Stadia hater that it may have been better not saying anything here and just ignored the press release. And it would have just been Stadia refused to comment, which is a normal sort of response to things like this.
Yeah.
If you were like a positive, they did drop a wee nugget of information in there. I'm just trying to find the exact quote. Here is the quote here, which I think people may have missed. We're getting our first tease of the feature here about demos are coming to Stadia.
What was that again? What's coming to Stadia? I'm sorry, Duncan, I missed that.
Demos, demos.
Yeah. Go ahead. I'm sorry. Continue. I'm sorry.
If you look in the second paragraph, there are a lot of reasons for the time of those game announcements, anything from planned promotions or events, title readiness, and here is the important bit: proximity or concept. Basically, having the first playable demo available.
Yeah.
So it looks like there's a wee nugget of information there. So this is your game demos are being talked about by Stadia. So that is a big positive there. However, that statement is an absolute shambles.
Absolutely. So with that being said, Duncan, I mean, we're a lot of the articles that have come out that have said some things that I think were bloviating or just a bunch of emptiness, not factual or half truths. That be it may, we are 70 days in, and 70 days in, after getting your arse, for lack of a better term, getting your arse ripped from your spine in regards to your messaging. Why do you think that they continue to be so bad at messaging? What are your thoughts on that?
Okay, I'm going to go back to what I would have done. It all goes back to the very start where they called it a launch, and it just sets the expectations. They should have planned this all out better. I'm not sure what you would feel about this. If Stadia launched with 5 games, then every week they released, or every 2 weeks, here's another 2 games, here's another 2 games, and just kept their schedule. Every 2 weeks, there's 2 new games. Would that have been better than coming out, here's, my head's went blank, here's the 20-odd games at launch. We're not giving you any more games until Borderlands and Ghost Recon and then Darksiders. If they just staggered the launch of having a new game every week or something like that, the narrative would have been completely different to what it is here. And that means they would have had things to talk about each week. It's just simple, stupid stuff, which they just can't say.
You can't explain it. I got you.
And then that would kill the need for Stadia haven't talked in 70 days. Oh, it would have been, we have talked every single week because week and we've gave the details of each of the games. It's just mind-boggling why they wanted to launch from them. Stop, launch something. Stop, launch something. I know they're doing it in. I'm not sure if you know in IT sprints. They're obviously doing things sprints here to get feature side, but they are. You don't have to wait. They could just be releasing the games every week and have a schedule, because they're not keeping the schedule. Do you remember before Christmas what they said? It was going to be we're going to give a weekly update. No, we're going to give a bi-weekly update now because we couldn't keep the weekly update. We're going to keep now. It's going to be a monthly update. They just do not know what they're doing, and it's just so frustrating. It feels like they don't have anybody in the marketing and PR who are gamers. Because we gamers are an annoying bunch and whiny, and but also brilliant because of all the stuff we do. They should have really known what the fallout of this sort of launch was going to be. They only seem to respond now when we kick up an almighty fuss and it gets noticed in bigger and bigger press. It is just, you just want to give them all a big shake.
It's
Sorry, maybe got off of that topic there.
No, you were right on topic because again, we're here to show that we are not hive-minded here. That this is not all roses and rainbows and unicorns and stuff. And to that point, my good friend Cold Blood Sensei says demand better. And that definitely, when something's going wrong, you demand better. Trust me, Cold Blood, we definitely do demand better. And even though I don't like the titles or the thesis that seem to be put into a lot of the articles, it does highlight some. There's sprinkles of truth in there. There is angst about games, and people are very vocal on it. You know what I mean? That said, here's what I think. Real quick, let me give this real quick, and I'm gonna turn it back over to you, Duncan.
No, it's your show. You talk away.
But you're the sensei here. You're my long lost brother, but you are my
no,
sensei.
I'm not the
sensei. Because people like Cold Blood Sensei say I'm just a Stadia stand, so I gotta defer to you. Here's where I think the rubber has to meet the road, and we got to speak in a more serious nature to Google, because I don't want people to misunderstand my theatrics and my Stephen A. Smith meets Dr. Phil Huxtable, spill that I go into. I have a 20-year career with an American-based Fortune 500 company. I've done everything from help deal with multi-million-dollar lawsuits, looking for people for certain things, and dealing with government agencies, and I can't say anything further than that. So I want Google, as also a Fortune 500 company and the richest company in the world, to take heed to the things that we're saying today. They need to get better internal and external help. My friend Duncan, Duncan here, month to month since Stadia has released, week to week, my apologies. You have done a better job in your weekly addresses than they have ever done in any of their communication, period. And even I have been more effective in addressing the hate than, again, the richest company in the world. They need to contract better resources, clearly, as you alluded to earlier. And I can only speak for myself in saying all this, but look, again, I gave you my background, and I'm not doing this. This ain't a job interview. I'm just saying, I'm imploring you, if you need help, I'm here. I'm like 10 minutes away from your Bakery Square location. Like, I think if they were, besides me, I think if they were to, like you said earlier, have better community outreach, get better community output, and even on stuff like their weekly messaging, if they were to even approach you, Duncan, to get better at periodic communications, it would be great. I personally think this is something they need to do. What do you think?
Yeah, absolutely. It's not rocket science. It's like Xbox Wire. What do they put out every week? Oh, Destiny 2's got a new event going. Bang. Could Stadia have done that?
Yeah, absolutely.
I know this is, people make fun of this. Farming Simulator, what did we find out? Mm-hmm. DLC. I know that's not exciting, but what it's confirming that there's more things coming to the platform.
Exactly. Yes. Go ahead.
It's really, really stupid things. Even the statement today, go back to the point I made earlier. The big kickoff was there's no games coming. Everybody's worried about the games. They could have responded with, we have a game coming out next week. It may not be everybody's favorite game, but we've got a game called Supercross coming next week. We've got 10 exclusives coming out between now and June. And until the end of June. That means there's 2 exclusives every month if you average it out. Hopefully they do average it out and give us 2 exclusives because you don't want 6 exclusives in the space of a month because no one's got the money for that sort of
Exactly. Yeah.
for the thing. So they could have teased, oh, we have got an exclusive called X, Y, and Z coming out. We're going to be releasing more information about this in the next couple of weeks. We also have this game X from a third party. We are going to be releasing that in the next couple of weeks because it would have to be the next couple of weeks because we can't really go 2 months if only one game release.
Mm-hmm.
And then we are planning a Stadia Connect in the next month, and this is the date. Or we've started the planning of the next Stadia Connect, and you'll hear about it in the next couple of weeks. That statement today would have settled everybody down. You've heard there's games coming. You've had a wee tease of what the exclusive game might be, and that would get people thinking, what sort of game is it going to be? Helps drive speculation and create articles. Stadia have got this game coming, but no one knows what it is. It just creates some bit of hype, bit of fun, bit of everything just to get the community excited and engaged of what might be happening. I'm not sure what you would have thought.
Yeah. I think what you have suggested and you've been able to make come to fruition personally, again, I'm not trying to be mean. It's better than anything that they've ever attempted. And if you don't, and you're a mod here too, Duncan. So, when you get an opportunity in between our discussion, like link an example of such in here, because I want people to see this. The reception that you get. Oh my God, thank you, Dunk. Why can't we get this from Google? You know what I mean? So it's mind-numbing, and I don't understand why this can't be done, again, by the richest company in the world, when you have had a situation where you are getting ripped a new one every day. A lot of it is false, but it doesn't help when your own community can't back you up on certain things. Why you can't do something when you see your community saying, hey, look at what this guy is doing. And all he's doing is typing up 10 bullets. He's talking about different podcasts that are doing stuff, what they did. He's talking about different games that are why can't they replicate that? Somebody making all that money there at Google can't replicate that. It's mind-numbing. So I wholeheartedly agree with everything that you just said, so I don't know. So before we go to the next segment where I think we might...
Can I...
Go ahead. Mm-hmm.
Sorry, can I just add something here?
Sure.
They had the perfect opportunity to do something the last 2 weekends, something really easy, mm-hmm. and Codemasters had the chance to do it as well. The Grid event where Cloud Gaming X showed off Stadia. Mm-hmm. Stadia only features, and they didn't promote it. Mm. They didn't even give it a wee retweet. The only people who did it was people on Reddit there. A simple thing they could have done was went into the chat, would have cost them maybe $100 at very most. Mm. Give out a copy of Grid, give out the DLC, which is coming out. What would that have done for the community? Yeah. And a cheap and easy win, which would have saved them less money for TV ads. It would have been generated through all the Stadia community here, and it would have filtered out. Yeah. And they could have done a video with Cloud Gaming X and Generation Stadia from their 2 point of views and highlighted this is Grid on Stadia, 40 players. This can't be done on PC, Xbox, PlayStation, and it would have been a brilliant showcase for Stadia. Sorry for interrupting you there.
No. You again. This is about you, long lost brother and sensei. because again, you're well more versed than I am in a lot of this stuff, and again, we need the community to hear this type of stuff. But no, I wholeheartedly agree with all that. And the 40, see. People don't, if you can real quick, and I know we're going off a little off topic, but we're going to stay on course. try to explain what event you got was held where Stadia Source and a lot of other people within the community participated in with Grid, and explain how what you guys were doing with Grid is exclusive and shows one of the benefits to Stadia, if you could do that, because a lot of people ain't aware.
I have to say, I wasn't. I made the wee quick trailer up.
Okay.
So
Dan
over.
You didn't do the stream.
Dan,
okay.
I didn't do the stream. I was watching the stream. I didn't have Grid. I was stupid enough not to get it when it was cheap because I'm a moonbeam.
Mm-hmm.
But I was watching the stream and it looked ace. Basically, what happened is in Grid, there is a feature on Stadia where you can do 40 car races. 40 people take part and they're on a big track and they just race around it to see who finishes first. I know it's a bit simple. There's other games which do that. I know Xbox has Forza Horizon has the Battle Royale mode sort of thing, but for Grid, it can't actually be done because of the physics and all that. That's what they were saying. And Stadia should have been all over this just to promote it. Here's Grid, can't be done anywhere else. Codemasters themselves says it can't be done on PC. It has to be done on Stadia because of the Stadia servers. Mm-hmm. And they should have been out there promoting the hell out of it just to say, this is it. And giving out some keys to people to make sure that they'll be able to get the numbers in to do it. Maybe that is why they were a bit worried to promote it, because they were worried that they weren't going to get the 40 people. But you give the keys out to make sure people are. It will save you a lot of money in the long run. You can get people to see the positives of Stadia. It's just frustrating that there's the lack of intelligence of the gaming market. It's just so frustrating. They just need someone over there who actually gets gaming in their PR and marketing, unless their hands are tied behind your back somehow.
Exactly, which I can't imagine why. Let me just float to the chat real quick, because I just saw there's a lot of good questions, and I'm sorry, I wish I could do the free message, and I deeply apologize. Our friends at YouTube are not allowing it to happen for some reason. So speaking of the glory of Google, with that being said, Chad Davis says, what's scaring people too is that if the platform goes under, they lose all the games they bought. I think they need to provide a reassurance to people. This would get them to take a chance. If I could take a stab at this real quick, Duncan, and I'll pass it over to you. That's where I definitely urge people to not only follow this channel, follow Duncan wherever he's present, because he is the sensei, long lost brother. Follow Stadia Cast, follow Stadia Talk, our friend Chase. Follow all of us, and you can go to Stadia Source and get a collection of all their affiliates there. The reason why there's that belief is because there's this thing about Google Graveyard that's been floating around, that Google just kills stuff. And big ups to another Stadia Source affiliate, Generation Stadia. He did a video out there debunking that a lot of stuff that you guys see that that Google quote unquote killed, they were things that people just didn't use. People are clearly using Stadia. It's just not a massive hit right now because it's in early access, but they didn't pronounce it right. Also, on Google Graveyard is a lot of things that have been transformed, like Picasso that's on Google Graveyard. That wasn't killed. That turned into Google Photos and more. I urge you to go see Generation Stadia's video. So let's just look, this is going to be a $300 billion industry come 2025. There is a reason why Xbox is laser focused on Google in regards to gaming. They know Google's not leaving anytime soon. They want to be prepared for the fight. That's why they locked forces with Sony and said, hey, work with us and we can fight against Google. That being said, Google's not going anywhere anytime soon. Do not believe those myths. Let's just say in an ulterior universe, there was a situation where Google closed down their shops and people bought games. Google knows there would be an uproar. I'm pretty sure, like what they did with Assassin's Creed Odyssey for Project Stream, that they would ensure that you would at least get a PC copy of games. They would be able to work. Again, this is Google. This is not Joe Bob Briggs startup company. This is the richest company in the world. They would be able to supplement that, but beyond that, they're not going anywhere. Let me shut up now and let me get Duncan's thoughts on that.
I will take it a slightly different way.
Mm-hmm.
I find that argument about what happens if Google shuts it.
Mm-hmm.
How many games have you bought on Xbox digitally?
Yeah.
How many have you bought on PlayStation digitally?
Mm-hmm.
What happens if they go?
Yeah.
Exactly. I know you may be able to play them, but eventually they will stop working as well.
Yeah.
It's a risk you take if you're banned digitally. What happens if you get banned from Xbox?
Yeah. Yep.
There's so many questionable things. So what happens to your games if Stadia stops?
Yeah.
I think it's a
great point.
Yes,
great point, Duncan.
No, thanks. I'm not the one that came up, but it is just. I think it's that argument about what happens to the games is such an over egg sort of thing.
And it's induced by Google Graveyard. It's induced by people following things like Google Graveyard, which is, to me, is a farce.
It is the Google Graveyard. So, how many things which have been killed by Google have stuck the amount of money that they've stuck into Stadia?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Stadia is obviously getting. I remember some people. They're only. I know only $100 million in the Stadia. I'm saying if they're only sticking $100 million into Stadia, then Stadia's dead on arrival.
Oh gosh.
You're talking. I would say you're into the $1 billion bets here on Stadia. So absolutely. Stadia is not going away anywhere soon.
Now, will it barrel? Will it bolt to the top or something? That's a different conversation. But again, $300 billion industry, and the biggest indicator to what Duncan's saying, and I'm gonna shut up and let him wrap that part of it up. Is the biggest indicator is, despite what you guys are saying in the street, despite that you click it on Google Graveyard, look at what Microsoft is doing. Microsoft clearly doesn't believe that they're going anywhere anytime soon. Look at their shift in focus. When Google came out of nowhere and said that they were making an announcement prior to E3, everything went haywire at Microsoft. Microsoft now is not focusing on resolution, and now they're focusing on frames. Why? Because Stadia now has the upper hand in frames. That was a big, contention within the gaming community. So much of what Microsoft is doing now is laser focused on Google and then Amazon when they come on board. They don't believe what you believe. They're the $1 billion company. They have the access to all the data. I'm going with what Microsoft believes in that realm. And I'm sorry, I'm going to shut up and let you wrap that up, Duncan.
I don't know why, but I have a feeling that Amazon's welcome to the gaming world is when they launch their the game they've been testing, the MMO, which the name escapes me at the moment. Yeah. I have a feeling that is going to be available to play in the browser day one.
Oh, wow.
And I think that is going to happen. And that's their big showcase title.
Okay.
Cloud gaming is happening. You can see the complete another panic what happened last year. Not only with Microsoft, you're also seeing it with Sony when they teamed up with Microsoft to get into Azure. So I think you want to move on from here. So I will.
Yep. So we talked a lot. We did focus a lot on the wrongs that are happening now. So if Google's listening, they're probably scratching our names off of their list of who they're sending trinkets to. But again, it's all in the positive and just balancing everything out, because we do appreciate the platform. We've expressed that. I've expressed that more often than not. So have you, Duncan. We don't have anything to prove to anybody that may say that we're Stadia haters for the first portions of this show. It's just, we got to keep it real, as I like to say here. We got to keep it real. We got to keep it transparent. And I think we've done that very well. So, all right. So let's talk about what I think are a lot of the over exaggerations of things that we see in the press. We may or may not come out on the same side of the tunnel here about this stuff, but I want to pick your brain about this. So we got a lot of articles that have come out where, with Paul Tassi, he's talking about that Stadia engagement is free falling, you know what I mean? Or falling, meaning people, not that it's slowing, but that people are abandoning the platform in droves. And he also has an article where they're fed up with the silence. And I have an issue with that. And I may be playing semantics, but I have an issue with that because it isn't silence. It may be lacking transparency, but that's a different thing. And then we had Segment Next Stadia, that did Stadia's radio silence, to which their announcement today helped illustrate to where there wasn't radio silence, just as we illustrated earlier, poor messaging. So I want to go over some examples of a lot of the, I think, over the top stuff that, in my opinion, and I will get Duncan's thoughts on it. We had the reemergence of the faulty Destiny 2 litmus, thanks to Paul Tassi and others, where Destiny 2 is shrinking in its engagement. So therefore, that means Stadia is shrinking in its engagement. We have the Stadia is dead because now Destiny 2 is on xCloud rhetoric. And then, after I said enough is enough and I did my Fallout comparison video, you know what I'm saying? We had people going crazy everywhere. Well, not everywhere, but in a lot of places about that. Duncan, I say all that to ask you this. Where do you think, or where's all this negative press coming from? And from over the last 2 weeks, specifically, as far as you know, and where has it originated from, as far as you know?
It came from the foot of Stadia themselves.
Okay.
Oh, you weren't expecting that.
No, but it's good. It's good. I wasn't, but it was good. I can't deny it.
Stadia have caused this mess themselves, and it goes back to the very start where they called it a launch. Everybody's expecting it to be a launch, and from that, it's at the step of Stadia. Has Google really been marketing Stadia over the last 2 months? No, it hasn't. It's just been keeping the suckers, us, going, where they know they've got us here. We are beta testing it. We're paying for early access, whatever way you want to frame it. We are doing that. They are not going actively marketing. Here's Stadia's new features. Here's Stadia new games, and they have gave all the bad PR and people, as Chad Davis has just said in chat here, and they're running with it.
No, go. Yeah.
A lot of it is unjustified, to be absolutely fair. But if Stadia gives people a story,
yeah,
they're going to run with it. Regarding the numbers, I think the Destiny 2 numbers speak for themselves. Destiny 2 had a much higher populace on Stadia to start off with because everybody was playing it, because it was a free, quotes, free game. Everybody was playing it. People will either like it or they hate it, as you get with Xbox Live games, PlayStation Plus games. People maybe give them a go and go, nah, I really like it. So the Destiny 2 numbers would have been artificially high to start off with. After the people who don't like the game drop off, the numbers are in line with PlayStation, Xbox, but though there are ups and downs, they're round about the same percentage-wise. Regarding the why Stadia is stagnating or losing subscribers, I think I'll be frank, they are. It's obvious that they are. They're not actively chasing people to come into Stadia. Now, they seem to be saving themselves up for the base launch. And people are drifting away from Stadia because of the games issues and lack of games. I know for myself, I said this earlier in the show, that I've started playing the Xbox a bit more because I don't have the games on Stadia. There's no games that are really appealing for me personally, overpriced. I know we get the good sales. There has been some banging sales, on Stadia, but I just don't have the games to play on Stadia at this moment in time. So the numbers will be on its way down. So we just have to be take everything with a pinch of salt. We're still in early access. Don't be panicking that the numbers are going and everybody's saying, "Oh, Stadia's dead. Stadia's dead."
Mm-hmm.
Stadia's numbers will. I don't want to. Depending on how Stadia base launches, I'm willing to make a claim that there'll be more people playing on Stadia this year if it opens up fully to everybody in the UK and whatnot. I will make the prediction there will be more people playing on Stadia than playing on Xbox Series 1 and the PlayStation 5. Because people will be able just to jump in and click and play and go. People will be doing it on their phones. People will be doing it when they're in work, or should we say not, or not in school. They'll be playing it everywhere because it'll be available everywhere. You will be able to just pick up games and go. In basic terms, if your phone is able to play YouTube, you will be able to play games on the go. It's just going to take off. It's not going to take off a couple here, a couple here. I think it's going to take off, and it's just going to rocket. It's just going to go from nothing. I think we're talking about 500,000 most people playing on Stadia at the moment. But I think we're going to absolutely double, triple, quadruple if they launch base in one go. The numbers will improve all of a sudden. I'm not sure what you think, but I personally Stadia a real ad pushing the service. I've just seen, I'm not going to say lazy ads, I've just seen, buy the Premier Pack here, be on the websites and but not actual real marketing blitz. We're in a complete lull at the moment. We had the big build up to the launch, then we had a wee bit of a push afterwards for the Premier Packs, and since then we have had nothing. It's a complete standstill. There's Stadia Twitter account, if you remember, they were banging out, come and play on Premier, come and play on whatever. But now that has the marketing has stalled, and it must be just saving themselves for how they're going to build up for base launch. Okay. I'm sorry, that was a bit.
No. There was it's great, and we need, definitely very important things, and it also sheds a lot of light on a more well-rounded perspective. Like, if you think about it, and something I never really touched on, but I've thought in the past, is that this is purely beta testing. Okay. And I beckon this on to what Shadow did. But Shadow's a smaller company, so therefore the expectations were less. When I had tested Shadow, a friend of ours in the gaming community was one of the first people that I heard about Shadow from. So I was looking to try it then, but you couldn't try it free. You had to pay $25 a month at the time in order to even beta test it. And I said, yeah. And then it was like, you got access to 200 gigs. And I'm like, you basically, what Shadow is it takes it gives you a virtual hard drive, a virtual PC, and you install your games, and you can use your virtual PC how you want. You don't have to just use Shadow with games. So that's the beauty of Shadow. But it only gave you 200 gigs, which now is 2 games, And I was like, I don't want to beta test 2 games for $25 a month. What Stadia did is in my mind, and correct me where I'm wrong, I think they said, you know what? We want to just get that on the browser, and we could do that for free, or we could, just have people buy the games and try them out, you know what I'm saying, without an additional 130. But we want data for people playing on a CCU and a Chromecast, in a Stadia controller. So we're not footing the bill for this. Give us $130 and you can participate. But I think they look back at people that didn't participate in Shadow, so they erroneously, and in a lot of ways slyly, and not full transparent, and not being fully transparent, advertise this as a full launch to, like you said, is to their detriment. So I think there's a lot of truth in what you said. But I said all that to say this. What I'm experiencing is I'm experiencing less people actively joining, but you would know better than I, and less people engaged. Like you said, they're going back to their other console. But I don't know. I'm having a hard time because of my experience with people just saying, you know what, I've abandoned Stadia. But you're saying it's definitely there. You're definitely seeing that, right?
Yeah, you can see it. If I follow a fair number of people on Twitter, and even some of the diehard Stadia people are giving up on the platform. If you look at the news today, I'm not sure if you follow it. Just want to double check his name here, or their name. Everything Stadia, another Stadia website, has now put out a tweet today saying they've lost me, basically.
Oh, yeah, I did see that, where everything Stadia dropped off. Yeah.
Which is really disappointing, that another one of those. So the mind share, I don't think it's 50, 60, 70% of the Stadia population's gone. Mm-hmm. I do think there is there's
some spillage. There's definitely
there's a fair bit of spillage, and there's not a lot of people joining to make up the numbers. I think there are, and I think Stadia's numbers are in the decline. Mm-hmm. However, I wouldn't worry about it that much at this moment in time. They're just, I don't want to say this, but you're in Stadia now. The people who have even left have already got something to do with Stadia. Mm-hmm. So when Stadia kicks on, they know they've got them. Yeah, they don't care about us really at this moment in that from a business perspective, because they know they've got us. They've got our details. We're invested in the system. Even if you've only clicked on getting the free pro games, you know you've started your Stadia library. We don't care at the moment. They're just building up for the base launch.
So what Stadia is looking to do to clarify and make sure that everyone's aware. And again, you would know a lot better than I.
Sorry.
I'm sorry. Go ahead.
If you're wanting to look at the numbers, and this will just give you a ballpark sort of thing, if you go onto the Play Store, Google,
yep,
it tells you the amount of installs. That has not got over 500,000. I think 500.
They're still at that one tier where it's like between 100,000 and 500,000. Yep.
Let's be completely optimistic here. I has double that. You're still talking of an install base of between 200,000 and 900. Yeah. So I think the amount of people who are playing in Stadia is 500,000, just over 500,000 at most.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. To be wholly optimistic, and those are sentiments that I echo. Like, we've seen where Android Police or somebody said 550,000 downloads, and then there are some instances like when I got Stadia for my son after he dogged it for several months, but then he found out that he could play Borderlands 3, which is his favorite franchise on it. We got him set up, and he didn't even have to use the phone app. So you might have some people, a small percentage of people that signed up and didn't use the phone app because when they signed up, the browser was available. But but to that point, I don't think a lot of people fit under that litmus. But to make sure that I understand you correctly, you do believe that there's actually, a significant number of purges, but it's nothing to the scale of Stadia's dead and that Stadia can't rebound. Or not, I don't even want to use the word rebound, but Stadia can't reconnect with those people and get them on once they go full launch.
No, absolutely not. We're just in a lull. I can see some comments in the acting.
Yeah.
I am actually, believe it or not, over the last 2 weeks, I have changed from I think Stadia is going to succeed, it's just a matter of when, to I know Stadia is going to succeed, it's just a matter of when base kicks off. I am just so optimistic that Stadia is just going to absolutely have bonkers numbers come the end of the year. The YouTube moves are ridiculous, and they are such bigger picture things where people just took their eye off. It's just going to be, we're in for a really, really wild ride with Stadia in the next year. If base launches this year, my hope is, and this may sound a bit pessimistic, but it's actually for good reasons. I want base to roll out in beta form, and so Stadia controls the numbers, and depending on how many people sign up for the free base try, have it undersubscribed. It's the old Nintendo trick of old, and have low supply, high demand, and just get the hype going. So then the articles go, there wasn't enough people being able to get into base. Stadia can't keep up, and it's just wee stupid marketing technique. So I am so excited for what this year is going to bring, and I'm going to tell you now, my game to watch is, I mentioned it earlier, my game to watch is Get Packed. I know everybody says, oh, it's not going to be a big game, it's just a wee indie game. You get the streamers playing that, interacting with the audience. It's going to be massive. And I'm telling you now, these streamers that YouTube have signed up are going to be, I'm not going to say forced, they're going to be encouraged.
Just like what's his name?
Exactly like Xbox and Ninja.
Yeah, Ninja. He was quote unquote encouraged to play Gears 5, right? Yeah, so. Definitely.
Yeah, I am so optimistic now that Stadia is going to survive. It is unreal. It's just going to take off. I may come off as negative, but I am just so excited.
It's
about
realistic.
How
it's realistic. Yeah. And what you said, Duncan, makes a lot of sense. Again, to recap, because I see everybody in the chat too. It's not that we're tripping or we're upset. And we're Stadia, I'm throwing it out the window. No, as soon as I get done doing here and chatting with Duncan a little bit, if he doesn't want to run away from me, I'm going downstairs and I'm playing some more damn Stadia. This is next to PC my premier way to play. What we're saying is that people are looking at this early access mode wrong, and how Duncan has underlined it is, don't go boo-hooing for Google because they're the richest company in the world. They made it this way. If they would have did some messaging differently, they wouldn't be in this situation. That being said, those of us that have the system, we know what it is. We know how it works. And you got to understand, and I'm big ups to Generation Stadia, where they've said there, Google, even though numbers may be dropping off, even though people may have said, you know what, I've played through everything in the catalog, I'm going back to my Xbox. Look at that as something temporary, for the simple fact that what Generation Stadia said, this is not a startup company. This is not Joe Bob Briggs' Jello factory. When Google is ready to do marketing and re-engage with those people, they will do it full-fledged. And like to Duncan's point, when games like Get Packed come out and they have that broad casual appeal, and people can say, I want to play with my favorite streamer, click on play this game now, and they're instantaneously in the game with their favorite streamer. Like, come on now, we got to be real. So we are being truthful and honest and saying, yes, people have purged off the system, no doubt about it. But with that said, Google's aim, and the guy from the CEO of Tequila Works said this too, Google's aim was not to do a full-fledged launch to get this in everybody's home right now. They want to collect data because this is a paid-for beta. But that said, once this get out the paid-for beta phase, they've already got information. They've already connected to a lot of people. They're going to reconnect with those people and more. Did I get that right at all, Duncan?
Absolutely. And I would like to, I'm sorry, I struggle with saying some names here. Tis a reactor.
Trizarector.
Has made a point which I think exactly what they're doing. They are stacking games. I think it's a mistake, by the way, but they are stacking games to say, here comes base. Here is 50 games we're launching with base.
I gotcha. Wow.
Yeah,
I agree with you. Yeah.
I still think that is a mistake. I think they should be trickling them out every couple of weeks, give us something new. Because what they're doing here is we're the biggest fans of Stadia, if you want to call us a fan, or mouthpiece. We're out there, we're promoting, we're telling how Stadia is good. It's our favorite platform to play on. But what they're doing at the moment with this stupid stuff they're doing, burying the heads in the sand until it's too late until the press pick up on it, and the situation gets worse than it really is. It's just so frustrating. They're just waiting to the last possible moment to actually come out and say, instead of saying, oh, we're stopping games for a bit, launching base in March, April, we're not releasing any more games, but here's the games which we're going to be launching base with. It would get everybody excited and go, oh, when those games are coming, everything's on its way, everything's good and rosy. We'll be a bit annoyed that there's no games in the meantime, but at least we'll know there's something happening.
So they're doing the bare minimum right now because, again, it's all about data collection and they're stacking games. I mean, and again, we're not saying this because we just got a thing from Google, but I mean, we're using common sense here and we're surmising that. Would that be an accurate thing to surmise? You think?
Sorry, I missed a wee bit of that.
I'm sorry. Yeah, I know. I was all over the place with that. So it's fair to say, just to recap so everyone is on the same page here that's listening, that we are surmising that they have stuff lined up. They have stuff in storage. Right now, they're just giving us the bare minimum because they're just trying to collect data, correct?
Maybe not data, or they're just, they probably are collecting data on how everything's performing. I think they're just trying to come out with a big whammy and say, here's all the games. Yep. But the problem they've got is they can't be trusted now.
Exactly. Yeah. Yep.
If they're stacking all the games until base comes out, it just proves to us that they're just it can't be trusted to have a regular schedule of games coming. If they start even one or two games at a time, and they build up the base and then say, "Well, we're going to launch an extra 30 games," something like Xbox does with xCloud, they trickle a couple of games in when there's a big rollout. Say, wasn't it Canada a couple of years ago? They launched a hell of a lot more games on the xCloud, including Destiny 2, which we don't talk about. And it's just common sense. It's just they're not even trying to please two sides. They've got their head fixated on the base launch. I feel now that they're forgetting about. Maybe the most important people is the people playing right now, because these are the people who sell the system to their friends.
Yeah. It's a mind. It's definitely, as someone who's me and Duncan talked about this behind the scenes. As someone who came into YouTube 2 years ago, with my full intentions being to just go and talk about gaming news and being thrusted into this console war. It's just, like it or not, as repulsive as you may find it or not, it is a staple of communication here. So Google has to understand that the win isn't going to bend with them. They have to bend with the win. Like, this is a perfect segue into this next segment, because this is going to show a little bit more contrast, but add more to the discussion, right? So you brought up xCloud and you brought up Xbox. And this is why I think it's important that we focus on this, because I may feel a little bit differently than you are about what xCloud is doing in contrast to Stadia. Yes, I appreciate the fact that that xCloud says we're a beta. I appreciate the fact that NVIDIA says they're a beta. I appreciate the fact that Shadow has beta elements. But when you separate xCloud from everybody else, the performance in xCloud, even at beta, to me is abysmal. And I liken it to this. It's like we have a restaurant chain here called Golden Corral. And Golden Corral gives you 50 dishes of different things to eat. But often when you go to Golden Corral, everything tastes like old cauliflower. The sesame chicken and the roast beef all taste like old cauliflower. So when it gets to so variety isn't always the answer. And what I have a concern with personally as it goes to xCloud, and I know I'm the Xbox pessimist, but the problem that I have is that because Stadia has bungled the messaging, people are acting like it's a binary choice. They're automatically saying that the direct competitors now are xCloud and Stadia. We don't like what Stadia is doing, so we're automatically going to praise xCloud. And in my mind, Stadia is bungling their message and xCloud is bungling performance. And I personally don't want to hear about a beta, because NVIDIA and beta, and even Shadow with its beta elements, take this way more seriously as far as performance than xCloud is. So with that being, I don't think that xCloud or Stadia are being good stewards of cloud gaming's potential, because Stadia is messing up the messaging, xCloud is messing up the performance. Do you think I'm being over the top here, or do you think there might be some validity there? What are your thoughts there, Duncan?
I think it's a bit of both there. It's just to do it. It's I've seen some xCloud footage which looks great, and I've also seen it looking shabby. Yeah. And unfortunately I'm not tried xCloud myself.
Okay.
Because I'm an Apple person here, which we don't mention. Gotcha. So I've got iPhones and iPads. I'm waiting to see who. Yeah. I'm waiting for the iOS stuff to drop. See, it's about perception. Xbox can get away with it, their service being slightly worse. I think, for all intents and purposes, even the Xbox fanboys will just, I don't like using the word boys, and the Xbox fanboy will just call them. Even deep down, the ones who have tried both know Stadia is better, and they've admitted it or begrudgingly admitted it. It's just frustrating. It's just the messaging from the start to finish with Stadia is their issue.
Yeah.
That is what sets them up for their failure. And that's all it really comes down to. It's xCloud is obviously worse than Stadia. You've got the worst performance. You've just not Destiny 2, as you've shown, is not as good. Yeah. It's just grabbing the narrative and running with it. It's just it just needs someone there who can just. It's not going to be a flick the switch and away you go, because you can see that what happened with Xbox at the beginning of the Xbox One. They need to start changing the narrative, and that just starts slowly. They just need to start doing things to start to grab it.
I think a good thing to have done, even if, let's just play. Look, I'm going to propose, if I'm at the executive board, along with what I asked you earlier. If I'm working at Google Stadia, and let's just, I don't know who's the CEO. I don't even know their names right now. But let's just say if the people at the top, if this is coming from the top and they're like, look, we need to collect data first. Get people on, get them to pay for the controller, get them to pay for the dongle. Let's collect the data. Then as we get everything together, we're going to pop, boom, there it is, right? Even if that's the case, I'm Phil Harrison or whoever that has to curate this message. And I'm saying, okay, at the very least, you guys got to give me something to work with. We're going to get torn to shreds because things aren't going to be available for a while and we're not giving people a hard date. How about we look at some of these older games and we port them over periodically too? Like you said, stagger the games. Like I'm looking at PlayStation Plus and I'm looking at games like BioShock, the collection. And that's free on PlayStation Plus. And that would have been a great game to port over, to hold people over, during this law, like I don't get why those small bones, just a couple of ports here and there coming over, even if they're not true 4K or whatever, until we get the games that are built to ground up. What are some other things that you think they should have done within this time? Because that's the question now. We don't know when the boom is going to happen. We have no idea when base is coming out. And I think it's right to assume that base ain't, or surmise that base ain't coming out until they're ready. But what can they do in addition to what we've already spoke to now? What are some small things that they can do now to help ease the mind of its community between now and when base releases?
I've said this before. It isn't about getting all the games, it's about getting the right games on board.
Yep.
Showcase Stadia's features. I did a video there about state share, which apparently, according to Google, is ready. No, we have no developers using it as yet. Get a game to showcase state share.
Exactly. Yeah. Yep.
The game I used was, for my example, and to be fair, this is the game I forgot to mention earlier. Slay the Spire. I'm not sure if you're aware of Slay the Spire.
Heard the name. Heard the name. I'm gonna look.
It's here we go. We'll advertise some Xbox here. It is on Game Pass on Xbox. It is my favorite game over the last maybe 18 months.
Is that the tactical game where you're like in the one? No. Okay, I see. This is the card game. Okay, I got you.
It's a card game.
Yep.
It is a roguelike card game. And what you can do is, say you were playing Slay the Spire on Stadia.
Yep.
You want your subscribers to join in with you. You set the state share link out, and when you're playing the game, they can be playing at the same time. And you make a move, they can make a different move. Okay. It's I would get some games on. It doesn't have to be old games. It can it doesn't need to be new games. It could be old, showcase the technology, just to get people excited, or old games just to bulk up the library, like your BioShocks, like you mentioned.
Yep.
Another game which I think would be amazing on Stadia, and I bet everybody's going to laugh at this, is a game called Farm Together. Farm Together. Do you know Farmville on Facebook?
Yeah. Yep.
It's like Farmville on Facebook, but instead of paid transactions, it's a full farm building game where you can go into people's farms and build up. It's a game you can absolutely chill out to, and you'll be surprised who's a big fan of this game as well. Phil Spencer is a big fan of this game. It's wee silly games which you can come back to and just constantly play. Your old classics like your BioShocks and sprinkling in the new titles as well. Yep. The problem which you don't want them to fall into is porting too many old games to Stadia, because then that trap is Stadia only has old games, which we had at the beginning of the launch. Yeah. We need a mix of everything. Yep. They need to choose the games they want and target the games which showcase Stadia to the best of their ability, and what features they want to show off.
Well, I mean, here's the problem, Duncan, not to cut you off, but here's the problem. I mean, when Doom being pushed back hurt them, right? And then now Cyberpunk, which they could have made an argument, we're the most affordable / best place to play this, right? They could have attempted that, but that's been pushed back. Marvel's been pushed back. A bunch of stuff has been pushed back.
There's actually 2 games. Sorry, I'm just going to jump in here. There's 2 other games get completely forgot about, which was actually meant to be released around this window as well.
Mm-hmm.
Watch Dogs Legion.
Absolutely, yes, absolutely, yes.
It completely gets forgotten about, and Gods and Monsters that gets forgotten about as well. And you're completely right. There's 5 games, which 4.5. We weren't sure when Cyberpunk was going to be coming, so
yeah.
So we'll go 4.5 games where Stadia is missing, and that would have shut up a lot of people.
Yeah, yep, that. And then even at like when I originally came to this community, I did not believe that Stadia would perform as well as it did. I remember Project Stream. I said Project Stream was awesome, but I was doing a lot of stream testing with NVIDIA and Shadowblade and xCloud. And I said NVIDIA is going to be the I couldn't imagine anything better than NVIDIA. Then I got Stadia in my hands and I'm like, this thing is awesome, right? That being said, my personal use of Stadia was solely just going to be for Uplay Plus. Where the hell is Uplay Plus? Because I subscribe to it on PC. And the thing that, like you said, could hold people over, even though they don't plan on putting their best foot forward until they're ready, they could calm a lot of this down if they bundle Uplay Plus with Stadia for an extra $5 or something like that. Like, give Ubisoft some money. You got to do something, because it's like you said, if you come to have, for lack of a better term, come to have asked with this, then people are going to be like your cold blood senseis in the chat. They're just going to go with the fray. They're going to do with everything Stadia did. What do you think? How do you think Uplay Plus could have an impact on all this?
Unfortunately, I don't think Uplay Plus is coming to September, October time now, at the earliest. I'm sorry to be a downer on it. There.
No. I mean, hey, we got to deal with reality. So
I know other people have different thoughts. The reason why I think it's not coming to September, October is what are they going to launch it with?
Yeah.
They need a title to launch it. Would I subscribe to Uplay Plus with the Uplay games on Stadia at the moment? Would you? If it was, say, they were just the price because there's a say for £8 or $8 a month, would you subscribe to Uplay Plus?
I'm actually forking up $16 for it now. So yeah, I mean, and that's me personally. That's just me personally. I
with the Uplay game with Stadia at the moment, would you pay $8 a month to play Assassin's Creed Trials, Ghost Recon? Would you pay $8 a month for that?
$8 a month? Yeah, I would do it. Yeah.
You would give it a go?
Yeah.
That's where I disagree. I don't think for the long term you may pay it for the 1 month, or I would pay it maybe for the 1 month, but would you pay it for the until Christmas?
Yeah. Here's what I think about Ubisoft. Even though they did push back a few games, but Ubisoft has a big PC following that might be interested in, some of which might be interested in Stadia, and they do have people that like their games. And I'll throw out this statistic: you have 2 games, Gears 5 and Ghost Recon Breakpoint. Now, Gears 5 is more critically acclaimed than Ghost Recon Breakpoint, but guess what? For just in the States alone, when Gears 5 released, it was released day and date. And it's Uplay Plus. It was only available in Uplay Plus for 1 day, and it still outperformed Gears 5, which was available pretty much all month. So on the low, as we say, there's a lot of people, I think, that like Ubisoft games, to where I get what you're saying. It doesn't have that broad appeal, possibly, but I think it would go. But then if you have this Stadia platform and you like how it performs and how it feels, you might be willing to give it a try. You know, those are just my thoughts. Of course, you would definitely know better than I. So
No, this is an opinion. Everybody's got an opinion, and no one's opinion's right and no one's opinion's wrong.
Absolutely.
For me, I don't see Ubisoft releasing Uplay Plus without a banger, and that banger is going to be Assassin's Creed. It's going to be Rainbow Six, or not Rainbow Six. I just seen the chat there. Rainbow Six with Stream Connect. Can you imagine that? I've said that before. That is going to be a seller if they get it on the Stadia.
I know, and it sucks because you're going to get like two of its bigger games, Ghost Recon Breakpoint and Division 2 Solo, before it even comes out. So you're already going to have it in the library. So, I mean, I get your point. I definitely get your point. Go ahead.
See, my thing, sorry, with Uplay Plus, I just don't see. I love Ubisoft games. I'm going to depress people myself here and whatnot. Assassin's Creed Odyssey. I have stuck in close on 3 platforms.
Okay.
250 hours.
Okay, so you're Assassin's Creed out.
Yeah, so I love my Ubisoft games. I'm really looking forward to Gods and Monsters, and I'm looking forward to Watch Dogs. But at this moment in time, I do not see how Ubisoft could justify putting Uplay Plus on with the 3 games. So I think they're holding back the Division 2, and I think they're going to hold back. I think Rainbow Six is going to come to Stadia, and that's going to be one of the sneaky drops, what they're going to do along with Assassin's Creed Origins and the new Assassin's Creed, and they're going to launch maybe a big pack like that September, October time, just to get people onto the service, because I just cannot see them launching it now, because I don't think they can justify the price.
Yeah. I mean, it might be hit or miss. I know there's a big base that would like to, and then they would. And the problem with, and a lot of people listening to this may be saying, but hold on, MM2K, you can play, if you got Uplay Plus, you get access to the game free via Nvidia's thing and Shadow's services. And the problem is, where I think Uplay Plus can benefit Stadia, is that when you try to play games on NVIDIA or Shadow, the graphic user interface is horrific. It's horrible. Like, because it uses the PC graphic user interface, so you got to sign into their client, and it just causes a whole bunch of problems, to where Stadia merges that into, how you play their game, so it makes it a lot more effortless. So we'll see. Very interesting thoughts and very interesting scheduling or us vetting the scheduling talked about now. So definitely, and to refer to the chat real quick, because I see them very active here. They they want to attack us. Good, Duncan.
That's because of me.
Yeah. Well, Ashes to Ashes says, "Yup, I am thinking March with April beginning the new fiscal year." So I think that's in regards to what do you call that? Base. Yeah. I agree 100%, says Charles Oran. Yes, I'm vocal when I need to be, but I'm just sitting back watching and playing. Chariot Man Gaming, base is coming this year for sure. Cold Blood Sensei says, Phil is still a fraud. He hate us hardcore players. And let's see here. Trizarector says, if we got Doom in December, then Gods and Monsters, Supercross in February, dudes would have been skipping in the streets. Yeah. I think those hurt, and that's why I think the ports, I know I'm completely where Duncan is at, where you don't want to just lace it with old games, but you got to have a plan B. Always have a plan B. And Stadia Talk says Rainbow Six Siege with Stream Connect, and that would be epic from Uplay Plus. All right, I'm sorry. Go ahead, Duncan.
Yeah, it was just agreeing there with you needed the plan B. They shouldn't have been relying just on new games coming to the system. Mm-hmm. they have them going, because as we have just seen, games slip all the time. I think they've been unlucky somewhat that 5 games, or 4.5 if we're counting if we're counting Cyberpunk or not, it's 5 games. You wouldn't have expected all 5 of them to ship out to be a bit later. So they have been unlucky that way, but there should have been the sprinkling of other games to make up for that anyway. It should have been not just the new games, there should have been some of the older games as well. Or, I don't want to be disrespectful, because some of my favorite games are indie games. They should have had indie games lined up along with the banger. So even if they slipped, it would have been some indie games for us to play.
Absolutely. Yeah. I mean, it's all about content and keeping people engaged, and I wholeheartedly agree on that aspect. Differences of opinion on Uplay Plus, because I'm a Ubisoft stan, if you didn't know that. But I think that could have helped. But definitely, I wholeheartedly agree with Duncan that Stadia is taking a stance like, we're collecting data. Well, okay, if the rumble gets too loud, we'll go to the shelf and we'll throw something out. But right now, it's all about. But if you're in, but I'm going to say this, and I know this doesn't apply to everybody. The reason why that I may be out here with a lot of my rhetoric, talking pro Stadia versus anti xCloud, is because xCloud in no way, shape, or form should be a standard bearer for cloud gaming. And I hope everybody excuse my French for when I say this. I always use this scenario. If someone comes up to you with 2 things that they want you to taste, one is a cup of pee, the other one is a crap sandwich. 99 times out of 100, you'd rather, if you're forced to, you'll take the cup of pee, but that doesn't make the cup of pee a good beverage. So I want people to stop thinking as a binary choice. And if you're interested in cloud technology, yes, we can point out these things with Stadia, but also be going to Xbox and saying, you're the second richest company in the world. Your platform in beta should perform better than this, because ever since NVIDIA was in beta, theirs performed better than what yours does. So cloud gaming works. We know it works. That's why we love the platform. We know it works. It's just that we need better messaging and probably a better approach to your fan base with Stadia as far as games are concerned. And I would counter argue, as far as xCloud is concerned, you just need a better approach. You may be more commercially favorable because you have more to offer. But when I pick up an xCloud game, it's like playing Russian roulette. I don't know what is going to work. Gears 5, your flagship game for 2019, doesn't work consistently on xCloud. I find that unacceptable. Your final thoughts on that before we go to the chat and we close out, Duncan?
I just want to pick up something in the chat about Call of Duty.
Yep.
Call of Duty is a vital title for Stadia going forward. And we've just seen it with the numbers. I'm not sure if you've seen them or not. The MPDs of the whole last decade.
Yeah.
Basically, every single title in the top 10 bar Grand Theft Auto was a Call of Duty game.
Yeah.
Call of Duty is vital. And
yes.
You may not like it. You may do. Call of Duty, I can take them or leave them. Yeah. But this deal last week with the esports is such a massive deal, which cannot be underestimated. I think Call of Duty on Stadia now is a lock, and it will happen this year, but it will be this year's version of Call of Duty, whatever that may be. Yeah. So that's going to be the September, October, November. New Call of Duty will be on Stadia, and it might actually be on Stadia first with some sort of marketing deal with the Play Now, with the esports. So that's my bold prediction, which is probably wrong.
I just heard a sound, and I deeply apologize if I don't know what happened, because I didn't have my Streamlabs up. But I don't know if someone donated. If you donated, thank you so much. I really appreciate it. I deeply apologize. I tried to get the free messaging app up and it's not working. Okay, so with that said, before we close out, because we are over the 2 hour mark, and we could, hey, look, I could talk to Duncan for 5 hours, but I don't want to hold him. It's getting late where he's at. With that being said, Duncan,
I'm fine here.
Say that again.
I'm fine here, so I am.
With that being said, Duncan, synopsis of this whole conversation, which again completely eradicates the notion that we are just mind hived, that we just defend Stadia, that we don't demand better, all that stuff. That we can throw that out the window. With the notion that Stadia doesn't perform well, it's laggy, and all that other stuff, we can throw that out the window. With the notion that Stadia is dead, even though we've talked about purging numbers, you know what I'm saying? That Stadia is dead and Google will never be able to get these people back because they'll never have a pipeline. We can throw that out the window. What we can say, though, to be critically fair and brutally honest, is that the communication is horrid. It's absolutely horrid. And the fact that my good friend, even though Duncan is a smart guy and he's very efficient and very thorough, he's not going to want to take that because he's a very humble guy. But I've seen this guy work behind the scenes and I'm completely amazed. Even though he's all that, he is not the richest company in the world. There's no reason why that he should be putting out circulars that far surpass what the richest company in the world. And mind you, them paying people a lot more money than he's getting for doing this. You know what I mean?
Everybody is.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. But there's no excuse for it. It's unacceptable. And in addition to that, the whole thought that they are not putting a better foot forward. I get why you may want to keep the tarp over some things, but the fact that they're not putting a better foot forward in staggering it, or just organization of releases or everything. The fact that they're saying, here, take this and we know what we got is great and it's going to be greater once we go full-fledged. The fact that that's not more apparent and that's not self-evident to the masses is unacceptable. And, and again, I just think that at the end of the day, you got to get the games. When you get the games, when you say full launch, you've already said it. Now you got to own it. You got to get the games, whether it be ports or stuff that you got sitting on the shelf. Bring it out here. We got to get it. Do you think that's a fair wrap up of what we talked about today?
I could sum it up as Stadia's biggest issue is Stadia themselves.
Mm-hmm.
I've said that for God knows it feels like about a year now since. I think they came out from the gate at GDC last year on fire. I think they nailed that, and ever since then they have messed up. Okay. And they improve the communication. They get out and speak to the people in the community, the brand creators like yourself, and get involved in community events. This isn't me pushing our community event. If they don't want to be a part of that, don't be a part of it. But things like with Generation Stadia and Cloud Gaming X, they should be all over. Absolutely. And pushing them. It's vital for them to just get out there and get involved with the community. At this moment in time, I said this on Chase's show a couple of weeks ago. The Stadia community is very close. Everybody knows each other. Mm-hmm. So at this moment in time, this is your perfect chance to get the ground roots community on your side. Come out, and we give us content to produce, and we will produce it, and we can show off Stadia in the best light and get more and more people on board. I will just go back to what I said earlier. The 40-car race, Stadia should have been all over that. They should have been out dropping in codes to that chat for buddy passes. They should have been dropping in, here's Grid, come and join the race. This is brilliant. And that would have cost them less money than some of these expensive ads that they have been trying to run.
Yeah, exactly. Come meet the community. That's perfect. I like that. Just Google. Again, I'm 10 minutes away. Look, and again, we could work things out behind the scenes. Confidentiality is not a problem. Okay, trust me. With that being said, what my man Duncan just said here is golden. Get rid of those rinky-dinky commercials. Send those actors home. You know what I mean? To find new work. I hate, not to be mean, but let them find new work. Everything that you promote needs to show the vibrance within the community. The 40-car grid races. Stuff like this, Super Saturday. Every time you promote this, show people within the community having fun, enjoying Stadia, and show why people should be enthused and engaged about this technology. So. Any other thoughts before I go to the chat, Duncan?
Oh, no, not that I can think of at the moment. So if you want to open that up to the chat there.
All right, let me go to the chat. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
I was going to say, yeah, there's a couple of good comments there in the chat.
Go ahead. Yeah, if you see something, point them out. Yep, definitely.
I think there's a couple of wee points about Destiny 2 being a bit confusing. For a big game for Stadia, yeah, I actually agree that Stadia, Destiny 2 is a bit confusing at times if you're not really super into it.
Yeah.
So maybe they should be pushing some other sort of games there as well. I think they're missing a pure 100% casual game where people can just go in and switch off. I know I said this game earlier, Farm Together. It was a brilliant game for people to get in, and it brings community together. There could be community events. Farm Together would be a pick for me to get on the Stadia. Just to widen out everything here. I'm really looking forward to get packed, as I said. So that could be a brilliant game to put on Pro for people to get in and play and get more people in the multiplayer perspective of Stadia. And and one more wee point about Call of Duty.
Yeah. I was looking at that.
Stadia could actually grow Call of Duty and other titles like no other platform with the YouTube integration. I want to just change that point slightly here.
Yeah.
I think we're getting close to the point where people will not be Stadia fans, Xbox fans, PlayStation fans, because gaming is going to be everywhere. They're going to be just the fans of the game, and this hardcore mentality that you're a hardcore gamer, you're a hardcore Stadia fan is going to disappear, and you're just going to become fans of, I'm a Call of Duty fan, I'm a FIFA fan, I'm a Destiny 2 fan, or I'm just a fan of first-person shooters. I think we're on the cusp of gaming changing forever.
In a world that MM2K prefers to be in, I would hope so, but I'm here to tell you, after being in the muck of the console war for the last 2 years, that cusp may be a lot more farther than we hope it is. I did a show not too long ago with somebody that literally threatens PlayStation because they're porting Horizon Zero Dawn to PC. I mean, I laughed and I joked about it because I laughed at him because it was ridiculous. And I said, "What are you going to do? You're going to throw a Molotov cocktail full with pineapple juice at him?" But it's not funny. I mean, it's kind of sad. But you have a generation, Duncan, that came before, that predicated us. See, we've been gaming for we're the same age, so we've been gaming around the same time. 30. I always throw out 30 plus years. So we don't come from this flag holding era. This is something that's festered over the last couple of generations more so than ever. And these people that are gaming now, the people in their 20s and maybe early 30s, they were bred in the last generation where it kind of was starting to fester a little bit with PlayStation 3 versus 360. And now they've taken the mantle and they're running into places that I've never imagined before. So, yes, hopefully we will get there. But I've seen some things from these console warriors that would make your head spin. Seriously. So hopefully, but we'll see. We'll see.
What I can see happening, it's not going to happen next year or the year after. We're talking maybe 3, 4, 5 years. Is you be like what happens now if you want to watch movies or whatnot. I want to watch some Netflix. You'll watch some Netflix. Then I'll go on to Amazon Prime.
I got you.
And it's gonna be like that with games. It'll be like I'm going to
access to the actual item itself. Yeah, I got you. Yeah.
Yeah, rather than actually where
the platform.
Who's actually So Stadia is going to have their own exclusive third-party exclusives. They're like Netflix has bought like the back catalog of one of the TV, like ABC or something. That's going to be like Microsoft and Stadia are going to do. They're going to buy the back catalog of Ubisoft games, and it's only going to be available on Stadia or xCloud. That is the way things are going to happen. It's just a matter of when, in my opinion.
Let me go to the chat again to where, speaking of Call of Duty, Trizza Rector says people are still playing the old Call of Duty games, and that is millions still play old Call of Duties, and that's absolutely right. And that's why it's not a bad thing if they get last year's Call of Duty on the platform. That'll be a big deal, and that'll eradicate the belief that nobody is going to support Stadia or Stadia is dead. That being said, let me see. We got Trizza Rector saying Stadia could actually grow Call of Duty and other titles like no other platform. Oh yeah. The same thing that Duncan said. And Ashes to Ashes says that should be an issue anywhere though, to refund something that isn't even out yet. I got in the middle of that one. Wasn't quite sure. Cold Blood Sensei says, but pre-ordering is only 100% with me when I know the devs are trustworthy like CD Projekt Red. And let's see here. Ellison193 says, I was curious about Destiny because the commercials look really good, but after playing it, he just doesn't get it. I'm not the biggest. Yeah, I used to be a full-fledged Destiny fan when Destiny 1 came out. That's the only reason I was going to go strictly to PC. But maybe get a console was when Destiny 1 said, we're no longer giving you content on both the old console and the new console. You got to get the new console. And I went and got a new console. And then I just stuck with my Xbox after that. That being said, me playing Destiny 2 wasn't a fan of it in the beginning, and I've tried it in spurts, and I'm just not a fan of the game. It's a good game, and I get why people like it, but I'm not one of those people. So I mean, it is different strokes for different folks. It's not a binary choice. You can't love something and it's the GOAT and hate everything and it got to go away. There's always shades of gray. So if people like it, then fine with them. But I totally get it. That said, damn. I told you, Duncan, this was going to be a fantastic show. Before we go, anything else that you want to clarify or go over or bring to light for the people?
I have to agree. I want my iOS support as soon as possible.
I just saw that. Yeah.
I'm with Destiny. For me, Destiny 2 is I go in, I go ship things. Mm-hmm. It looks nice. I couldn't tell you what is going on. I do the missions. I know what I have to do in the missions, but I'm not going in looking for all this serious gear. I just go do some quests. It's a semi-chill like game for me. Me and my fiance play together.
Wish I could get my wife to play games. She doesn't. She just yells and gets me to get off of them. So, with that said, I want to thank everybody that's come up. We've had upwards to 22 people, which again, this is a small channel, and that's great for this channel. They all have come here to see the superstar and my long lost brother Duncan.
No, they're here to see you, not me. So don't.
No. You know what's going to happen is everybody appreciates your candor and your honesty about the platform. Normally, when I'm up here giving my spiel, you just love Stadia. Stadia can take a dump on you and you'd smear it all over you. They'd say all types of crazy stuff to me, Duncan. You'd never believe it, right? So I think they appreciate your candor, But then I think it resonates well what I've been saying, even though we may come to different paths on certain things. They appreciate it more because even with all of the things that you pointed out that they should be doing better, and a lot of it I can agree with. Somebody else did something and I can't see it. I'm getting all these noises and I can't see what's going on. I deeply apologize. With all of the stuff that people are saying, I mean, that you've said, Duncan, that they could do better. At the end of the day, you have so much hope and so much promise for it because you've played it and you haven't followed the idiot herd. And I think that speaks volumes on why this show was very important. So I want to say thank you, my friend, for coming through. And I can't wait till we get together and do something like this again if you're willing to come back.
Of course I am. I really enjoyed myself tonight. And it's really, really honored that you actually invited me on.
It's fantastic. And again, reminder, Super Saturday is when February 15th, we're going to be doing 24 hours of all Stadia. So this is being organized by a guy that within 60 seconds, y'all said he was a fanboy, but said he was a hater. The hardest working man in the community. my friend.
I could say that. I have to say I'm nowhere near the hardest working. Everybody else is much more hardworking than I am. I think you are one of the hardest working people here. The amount of videos and content you put up, the amount of time you're on Twitter talking away to people, retweeting that.
I think time on my hands. That's what that is. But no. Here's my operatus Miranda, and before I don't want to make this too long. I have a thing against misinformation. See, I wake up every day with the mindset, I can learn something today. Some people wake up every day and they say, I'm right, and how can I prove that to the world? There's a lot of things that we prepare for, Duncan, in these notes that we didn't go over because you've educated me today. I've learned a lot today, and that will reflect in my future material. With that being said, if I can sit there with all my spitting on my pop filter and going all crazy and getting loud, if I can wake up with that mentality, so should you. When I say you, I mean people listening, right? So I don't appreciate it when there are truths out there that people aren't willing to seep into, to learn, and they rather just follow the quote unquote idiot herd, the outrage culture, and then they just follow that just for clicks and stuff like that. So that does something to me, gets me riled up, and that's why I'm so vocal. With that being said, you lose your integrity if you focus on nothing but good, but you don't talk about the bad, because if you really like this platform, you want them to work on the bad. So again, great show. Fantastic having you there. I love the Stadia community because you're not the only one doing this, even though you're one of the staples that are doing this. People in Stadia are doing this. Trust me, they're asking for better. And check us out. Check us all out. All the content creators, from me to Stadia Talk, Stadia Cast, Generation Stadia, Stadia Sword, everybody. Check us all out when you can, and definitely check out Duncan on Reddit. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
Can I give a wee plug here to Stadia Source?
Definitely.
We have
yes. Go ahead.
If you're looking for creators, more Stadia creators out there, check out our website. We have got a list of them there, and you may not like some. There will be someone out there who you would like. I want to give out a shout out to one of the ones I really like as well, and that's Glory of Stadia. I'm not sure if anybody's aware. I think he is brilliant. He makes some jokes and he gets you thinking. I think he's well worth watching out there. So if you haven't checked him out, check out Glory of Stadia.
Yep, definitely. All great work, and we're all fighting a good fight, and we have differing opinions, but again, that's because we love what this platform offers, and we want it to succeed. And it's just, and again, it's Google. I'll say, and I'm not saying this to be snide or anything like that, or put myself on a pedestal, but me working for a Fortune 500 company, they have their ears to the ground when it comes to social media. So Google, if you're listening, this show wasn't, the point of this show wasn't to go, you wrong, you throw off the cliff. That wasn't the point of this. The point of this is, we know you have something magical here. I've abandoned my consoles because of it. That being said, there's just some things that are mind-boggling, and they have to be addressed. Some of this stuff is unacceptable. That being said, to those that are listening outside of Google, it's not the doom and gloom that people make it out to be. Google Stadia is not dead. We're going to show you on Super Saturday the engagement and enthusiasm, and we're walking the walk and talking the talk. We're telling Stadia you got to do better in some aspects, but we're still loving the platform and showing our support of it. So with that said, I will close out. I want to thank everybody for coming, upwards of 22 people, big for this platform. Continue to support us on Twitter at Stadia Dosage. We also have a Stadia Dosage page on Facebook. Go to the page under not the Facebook profile. We're going to shut that down. And check us out on the pntsnetwork.com. Stadia Dosage has its own page. And with that being said, thank you very much for coming. You all have a wonderful, wonderful gaming day. Peace.